कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धामुखैवजाद्वत् स्वयमुत्थितो भक्ति भाजौ कृतौ च कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धामुखैवजाद्वत् स्वयमुत्थितो भक्ति भाजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्ति कथं मे प्रयच्छ नमो क्षेत्रहोम्यसि दामोदरेह.
But we'll go directly into our reading of this Damodarastakam, verse 7 today. So we remember verse yesterday. I was reading quite quickly through this verse 6, but this verse 6 can be unpacked and read again and again and again. All about Harinam Sankirtan, all about the potency and results of Harinam. This 6th verse is phenomenal. So I know I read it quite briefly, we didn't comment so much on it, but the essence we've spoken. But I would suggest that all of us go through again this 6th verse. This is the culmination of Satyavrat Muni's process to attain darshan, direct darshan, sakshat darshan, not a spurti. Before, he was initially in the 2nd verse, he's wanting to see the form of Balagopal in his heart. And then we come into the 4th verse, a very pivotal verse, and he wants to see just the smiling face of Balagopal in his heart. But in the 6th verse, or the 5th verse rather, it's categorically, he wants direct darshan of Gopal. He doesn't just want to see a spurti, he wants direct darshan. And I was explaining how Satyavrat Muni actually has this desire fulfilled, because he takes birth in his next life as the son of Vivishvan, the son of the sun god. This is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as the son of Vivishvan, he takes birth as the Manu, Vaibhashvatu Manu, in this age. Satyavrat Muni was speaking this in the Chakshush Manvantara, the 6th Manvantara. So we're in the 7th Manvantara. So Satyavrat Muni takes the post of Manu in this Manvantara. This is the only Manvantara where Krishna is going to directly appear. Brajendranandan only appears once in the day of Lord Brahma. So in the 7th Manvantara, in the 28th Dwapara Yuga. So Manu would have witnessed directly this pastime. And we know that it was described in the very beginning, this pastime is eternal. It's an eternal pastime because it's always manifesting in some universe. It's not apricot, it's not like that, but it's always manifesting eternally in the universes. The apricot pastimes are principally the Astakalya Leela. Those are the pastimes that are taking place all the time, the Astakalya Leela. So there is a conception of this Damodar Leela in the hearts of those apricot personalities, those spiritual personalities. Just like they don't have husbands directly, but they have a conception of having husbands in apricot Vrindavan, so that the Parakiya Ras can flourish. Without that conception, there could be no Parakiya Ras. Understand? But only in Bhoma Vrindavan do they actually have husbands. So it's in Bhoma Vrindavan that this pastime takes place. But that Brahma Vrindavan is constantly manifesting in different universes, again and again and again. Just as Mahavishnu breathes out, and all the unlimited billions of universes manifest from his breathing. And then as he breathes in again, all those universes don't immediately enter the body of Mahavishnu, but gradually they all come into his body again. So there's always this Damodar Leela is always going on in some universe. And we study it, every single Kartika we've been describing, because of the escalation of the bhavs that are being described in it. In the first verse, the Leela is being described and how Mother Yashoda caught Krishna from behind. This is a very important principle, that we have to run faster than Krishna to catch him. It's not that we're sitting there waiting for Krishna to catch us, like babies. No, we have to make the effort to catch Krishna, like Mother Yashoda did. So this is brought out in the commentary. And it was discussed at one point that there are two types of conceptions about Krishna's mercy. One is like the baby monkey philosophy that holds on to the monkey, the mother monkey, by her effort, by the baby's effort. And the other conception is the kitten, who's carried around by the mother with her mouth. So in one conception, it's like the cat is doing all the nurturing and looking after the kitten. But in the other conception, it's like the monkey has to hold on himself. So they're quite different conceptions. One is the Ramanuja and one is the Madhvacharya conception. But the Gaudiya Siddhanta is that both these moods must be there. We must hold on, at the same time be submissive and Sharanagat. So both these moods are there. So this was described, I think, in the second verse. And then the third verse is this Ananda Kunde, this blissful kund of pastimes. So many pastimes are unfolding. Iti driksva lilabhya Ananda Kunde. And many pastimes are described. 13 pastimes my Gurudev describes in that verse 3. And then we come to this pivotal verse of verse. I'm repeating it again so that we can get the impression deeply in our hearts and be able to spin it through like a wheel of these 8 verses easily, again and again and again and again. Just like when we go through our Bhagavatams, we like to reiterate what was in the first canto, second canto, third canto, fourth canto, just to keep it smooth and seamlessly progressing like that. So this fourth verse is very important because it's Varam Deva Moksham. He doesn't even want moksha. He doesn't want Vaikuntha Prem. This is about the heart of Satyavrat Muni. And we described how Narada Muni, he's speaking this to Sonika Rishi. He's heard it from the spiritual world, but Narada Muni is speaking it to Sonika Rishi way before Satyavrat Muni started to compose the words of this Astakam. And it was described that Sonika Rishi hadn't clearly established his Staibhav. Therefore, in this Astakam, the Staibhav is changing from verse to verse. We start off in Dasya, we touch on Sakya, and then we've just come to Vatsalya. And now at the end, of course, in verse 8, we're going to go to Madhurya. So it's an escalation all the way through. It's very, very dynamic to appreciate and consider, especially in this month of Kartik, when there's so much extra potency for those Vaishnavas who are discussing these topics. There's no doubt. When you discuss these topics in month of Kartik, it has a different potency to when you discuss them any other time, any other season of the year, because this is Radha's month. And ultimately this Astakam is glorifying Sri Radhika. At the end, she is the one who bound Krishna on a number of occasions. Mother Yashoda binds Krishna once, but Sri Radhika binds Krishna on a number of different occasions. She binds him with her absolute prem. She binds him from the fear of her man. Very tightly she holds on to him. It's described in that Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna is inquiring from Vrindadevi, oh, where is Krishna now? And Vrindadevi responds to Radhika. She's saying, oh, he's in Radha-kunda dancing. And Srimati Radhika responds, and who is his dancing teacher? And Vrindadevi says, oh, you, dear Radha, you are his teacher. You are holding the stick of man if he makes any mistakes in his dancing. So this is how Krishna is being bound by the immense affection and attraction of Sri Radhika. Many times. So then, in the 5th verse, this is substantiating Satyabrat Muni's desire now, because everything hinges on desire. Our whole process of Raganuga Bhakti depends on our focused attention on our desire, completely. If our desire is not fine-tuned, if it's not ekatma, if it's not one-pointed, then how is it possibly going to achieve success? It's not. And it has to, my Gurudev says continually throughout the text, that this one-pointed focus has to be cultivated regularly, again and again. And this is what this Damodarastakam is helping us to do, to focus. Because now, Satyabrat Muni, in this 5th verse, he's saying, I don't want just to have that form of Balagopal in my heart. I actually want to see him fully. And then in the 7th verse we discussed yesterday, or in the last few days, that his, 6th verse, sorry. He wanted to, what was the process to achieve the fruition of his desire? And it's Sankirtan. Damodeva Damodarananta Vishnu. So all of these different names of Krishna are being described to appeal to Krishna. And we have the examples of the gopis when they performed their Gopi Geet, appealing to Krishna. Jayati Tedikam Janmana Braja Shrayata Indira Shashwadatrahi Daita Drishyatam Dikshuta Vakas Dvaitridashavas Tvam Vichinvate. So this appeal through Krishna's holy names is going to achieve a most excellent result. And the commentary is full of Mahaprabhu's merciful benediction about this holy name of the Lord. Anything, even material, can be attained fully by the chanting and vibrating of this Hare Krishna mantra. So now we've come to the 7th verse today. And this is interesting because Satyabrat Muni, he's performed his Sankirtan, and then he has the idea, well, if even Mani Griva and Nalu Kuvera could achieve your darshan, then surely you'll let me achieve it. It's an interesting mood that he's having. If they could achieve it, then why not me? This is what this verse is about. So the translation, O Damodar, O Damodar, even though you are bound with a rope to the grinding mortar, excuse me, by your mother, you set the 2 sons of Kuvera, Nalu Kuvera and Mani Griva, free from Shri Narad's curse, and they live as twin Arjun trees. Curse that they live as twin Arjun trees, and enable them to become recipients of the highest possible attainment, bhakti. In the same way, please profusely bestow upon me prem bhakti for you. I long for this alone. I do not want any other kind of liberation. So beautiful to appreciate this. That these 2 reprobate sons, they were naked in front of Narada Rishi, sporting with apsaras, also naked, and shameless, not covering themselves at all. The ladies, they ran away and hid out of respect for Narada. But these 2 sons of Kuvera, who were like arrogant, wealthy people, you know, they had so much material resource, they thought they could get away with it. But Narada was so merciful to them because he was a great friend of Kuvera. So he wanted to benedict them with the blessing. So he gives them that birth as trees. So we'll read all this now. In verse 7. So this is the Digdarshani Tika, Bhavanuvad by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. In the previous verse, Sri Satyabrat Muni, prayed with great eagerness for direct darshan of Sri Bhagavan, because he was overcome by a special kind of prem vaishisht. So this eagerness is what we speak about all the time. Without this greed, this lobha, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Diti Lapite. Without this greed, this hunger, we're not going to crash through to the connection with that supreme apricot world. It requires every ounce of our effort. It won't happen by complacency. It won't happen at all that way. It has to be fully focused greed. There is no other way. It's not because just like this, the same greed as the gopis. How did they exhibit that greed? Because they left all their social connections. They left their husbands, friends, children. They left their shame. Young girl going out at night, young 16-year-old girl running out to the forest at night to meet her, but they did it alone. They didn't do it as a group. They single-mindedly, individually decided, yes, this is what I want, more than anything. So they gave up all that and they ran. This is the only greed that will appeal to Krishna. That means that I'm ready to give up this material conception. That's what it means, in a nutshell. Are we ready for death itself? Death is the leaving of all the subtle body, as well as the material body, all our desires. There's nothing left except if we've cultivated in this life some type of sanskar of enthusiasm towards reaching our objective. And by great fortune, my Gurudev has constantly planted this conception of Radha-dasyam into his followers' hearts. That only this Radha-dasyam is the highest conception. And we can attain that because Mahaprabhu has facilitated this. Anapita chirim chirat kunanavathanokalo samarapaitam unnata ujvala rasam swa bhakti shriyam. This is what he's come to give. This swa bhakti shriyam. Swa, Krishna's own bhakti, Sri Radhika. Shriyam, the beauty of Krishna's bhakti, is in her manjaris. So this was unheard of prior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unimaginable. Even most topics of Raganuga Bhakti were unimaginable prior to Mahaprabhu. We have Jayadev Goswami in the 12th century writing Gita Govinda. Smadagarala Kandanam, Mamasi Rasi Mandanam, Dei Parapalabam Udaram. He couldn't write that verse. That Krishna is surrendering his flute and peacock feather to the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. It was impossible for him to write that verse. Even though he was so rasik, that Govinda Geet is a beautiful composition of the separation moods, etc. But still, this essential ingredient of parakiya only comes from Mahaprabhu. It's only his mercy. And it's amazing that we are here at this particular time, only 500 years after the advent of Mahaprabhu. And the teachings that we have at our disposal today are even more available than they were with Mahaprabhu. On every cell phone, you can have any of Chaitanya Charitamrita. All of Rupa Goswami's books and granthas are there. Millions of them, billions of them, all over the planet. So he had this desire that his name should be spread in every village and township of the world. And it has been. But the essential ingredient is our greed to desire that. That's the only thing we have to focus on principally. And how do we get that greed? By vibrating the holy name. Without a doubt that by steadily immersing ourselves in the nectar and practice of this chanting of the holy name, we will attain the beginnings, at least, of that journey towards Radha and Krishna's seva, or Srimati Radhika's seva. It's all available to, it wasn't available 500 years ago the way it is now. And my Gurudev has said that it won't be available even after 300 or 400 years, the same way that it is available now. Shuddha Bhakti will be there. What Nityananda came to propagate with Advaita Acharya, that will be there for 10,000 years. What is pure bhakti? But Rata Dasyam, this Raganuga bhakti, that is only a very limited window open. So it's only at this particular point in history that we should appreciate the urgency to move on this topic without hesitation. Embrace it fully. Huh? No, it's okay. Prem Bishesh was the last thing I read. However, due to the extraordinary longing of his prayers, a form of Prema Bhakti instantly awakened, indicating the sprout of Prem, or the stage of Bhav Bhakti, causing him to realize that such direct darshan is only rarely accomplished. So there's rarity, very exclusive. How many people today on the planet even are interested in this subject matter? How many people will listen patiently? And among all those who listen patiently, how many will actually act on it? Minimal. Take something. Excuse me for a minute. Get my breath. Prema Bhakti instantly awaken, indicating the sprout of Prem, or the stage of Bhav Bhakti, causing him to realize that such direct darshan is only rarely accomplished. And my Gurudev said so many times, Sadhan Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti. So unless our Sadhan Bhakti is focused on Bhav Bhakti, your Sadhan Bhakti is zero. Because what is it focused on? Moksha? It must be focused on Bhav Bhakti. So what is Bhav Bhakti? Moksha Lukhata Krit. That's looking with disdain and insignificance on moksha. This is Bhav Bhakti. Moksha, what's that? Moksha Lukhata Krit, Sudulabha. And it's very, very rare. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur was saying this. Therefore, having determined that Prema Bhakti is certainly the only means to attain that darshan, he now prays to Sri Bhagavan with the hope of attaining Prema Bhakti. Alternatively, the sage fears that his mind will not be satiated after having Sri Bhagavan's darshan only once, and at the same time, he dreads the agony of separation from Sri Bhagavan when he will not be able to see him the very next moment. Don't we have a fear of separation? I've had this for a long time. If you suddenly see the beautiful form of Krishna, you'll go mad, because if you don't see him again the next moment, the separation will be so extreme. How will you live? If you see the immense beauty of, say, Sri Radhika, how can you live a moment without that hankering, that fervent desire to have darshan again? Just like Narada Rishi, when he has darshan in the forest, but then that darshan disappears, and that supreme aerial voice says, I showed you my form just to supply some greed to you for the rest of this birth, and he doesn't see it again for the rest of the birth. So this separation, we can be fearful of that. But that will increase our greed. That's the purpose of the separation. When Krishna leaves, why does he do that? He says himself to the gopis, the reason I left you was to increase your greed. This is why I left you. They had the greed to run to the forest alone at night, young girls, fearlessly. And yet that wasn't sufficient. Because there's always, it has to be increasing to be real. If it's not increasing, then it's not real, is it? If it's not dynamic. If it's not dynamic, it's static. But the process is ecstatic. So it's always increasing. Dreads the agony of separation from Sri Bhagavan when he will not be able to see him the the very next moment. He therefore prays to attain Prema Bhakti, having ascertained that Prema Bhakti is the sole means of capturing the Lord forever. What a wonderful proposition. To capture the Lord forever. We don't want that separation. How to capture the Lord forever. Despite this conclusion, he still felt apprehensive. How can such a severe offender like me attain the most rare treasure of Prema Bhakti? However, he was comforted when he remembered Sri Bhagavan's glorious quality of Bhakta Vatsalya, by which Sri Bhagavan makes the impossible possible. For this conviction, he rejected all varieties of moksha, and now in this verse, beginning with Kuverat Majo, he exclusively prays for Prema Bhakti. With the words, Bhava, Bada Mutaiva, the sage says, despite exhibiting the exceptional characteristic of allowing Sri Yashoda Gopi to bind you to a grinding mortar with rope, in your divine form, Sri Vigraha of Sri Damodar, in other words, even in this exceptional form in which you yourself bound, is that correct?
Yeah.
You are yourself bound, sorry. You delivered the two sons of Kuvera from their bondage. This statement reveals the incomparable fortune of the twin Arjun trees, who were able to see and touch Sri Krishna personally while he enacted his supreme enchanting pastimes. Sri Krishna had pulled the grinding mortar behind him and crawled between the two trees. Although he was himself in a state of being bound, he liberated Mochito, the two sons of Kuvera, Nala Kuvera and Mani Griva. But he did not just free them from Narad's curse and liberate them from material existence. He also gave both of them Prema Bhakti for him. This is astonishing. He gave this Prema Bhakti to these two reprobates. If someone is addressed by the phrase Bhaktim Bhajata, recipients of Bhakti, it is understood that they have taken irrevocable shelter of Bhakti as the ultimate goal, and they will never neglect Bhakti in any way. Therefore, when the sage says, Bhakti Bhajo Krito Cha, he made Krito, both of them, so dedicated to Bhakti, he is clearly indicating that Sri Bhagavan granted them Prema Bhakti. In this regard, a statement found in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:42, spoken to Nalakuvera and Manigriva by Sri Bhagavan himself, is evidence of this.
Sanjato mayi bhavo vami psita paramo bhava.
The praying for me that you both greatly desired has now fully arisen within your hearts. Because of this praying, you will never again become trapped in material existence. How amazing. Srila Sanatana Goswami explains this verse as follows. Sri Bhagavan is saying, O Nalakuvera and Manigriva, the praying Paramabhav for me, Mai, that the two of you, Tvam, desired, Ipsita, has now fully arisen, Sanjato, in you. Therefore, you will no longer have to suffer the pain of repeated birth and death in material existence, Abhavaha. Sri Satyabrat Muni prays, O Damodar, just as you granted Prema Bhakti to the two sons of Kuvera without any cause, similarly, please profusely bestow upon me Prema Bhakti for you, which is characterized by taking absolute shelter of your lotus feet. Or please grant me Prema Bhakti for your beautiful form as a small child who is bound by your mother's rope. So this repeating mood of absolute shelter is our desire. Sri Krishna may ask, why are you insisting on prema bhakti to the exclusion of everything else? Why will you not accept liberation, moksha, as well, just as the two sons of Kuvera did? Otherwise, you have to repeatedly suffer miseries like birth and death within material existence. You can turn that fellow. In reply to this, Sri Satyabhat Muni explains, I only insist on attaining this prema bhakti. I do not want to accept moksha. The meaning of Sri Satyabhat Muni's words is, if my repeated birth and death within material existence is destroyed by prema bhakti, then let it be destroyed. And if it is not, then I do not care. I have no expectation either way. The sage's deep mood is understood by a simple example. If someone obtains a wish-fulfilling Chintamani gem, then he will easily attain anything else. Therefore, in the presence of prema bhakti, what is the use of accepting a single insignificant boon like moksha?
May I read? May I read? May I read?
No, it's okay. These words of the sage may also be understood in another way. He prays, O Damodar, please grant me prema bhakti specifically to you, Swakam. Here, by addressing his Lord as Damodar, the sage prays for prema bhakti that is specifically related to the form of Bhagavan, whose belly is bound by a rope. It is possible to interpret this to mean that the sage selflessly wants Sri Bhagavan's waist to remain uncomfortably bound by rope forever. Fearing his prayer may be misunderstood in this way, he says, Na mokshe garau mesti. Do you think that I want you to remain tied? That I do not want you to be released from the bondage of your mother's rope? Overwhelmed with regret, the sage says, I am certainly concerned for you. However, kindly grant me that uncommon prema bhakti, which I fervently cherish in relation to your exceptional form as Damodar, who is bound by the praying of Mother Yashoda. Sham, would you like to read for a little while? Let Sham sit here for a while. You can read, Sham. Sham. Sit by the microphone. Read carefully. I'm not reading so well today.
Oh, okay.
Just read. Srila Sanatana Goswami.
Reveals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Loudly so they can hear.
Okay. Srila Sanatana Goswami reveals yet another meaning of this verse. One can also interpret the word iha in this to mean here in Vrindavan. By this interpretation, it is understood that the sage prays, quote, please grant me prema bhakti in Vrindavan.
This is very significant. In Vrindavan is very significant. It's not anywhere else in the world. Therefore, it's Nanda Nandan that we're talking about. We're talking about Brajendra Nanda. So Vrindavan is very significant. Okay. Accordingly,
the special joy of prema bhakti only appears in Sri Vrindavan. Because such prema bhakti manifests predominantly in Sri Vrindavan, the sage prays to see that bound form of Sri Bhagavan there.
Yes.
This special form of Sri Bhagavan, when he is bound up, can only be seen there. So in order to see this form directly, and also because of his extraordinary desire to see Vrindavan Bihari, Sri Bhagavan, as he who blissfully enjoys Vrindavan in his threefold bending form, the sage is praying to reside in Sri Vrindavan forever. All this is indirectly conveyed through the word iha.
Excuse
In
me.
other portions of this verse are not affected by this and should be understood according to the explanation already given.
So Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj always opens out the verse in a very philosophical way, makes it very clear of the analysis of the verse and the progression systematically going through. So it's very clear what Satyabrat Muni's mood is. He doesn't want that moksha, but he wants the darshan that these two sons received. That's what he wants. Okay, so we'll carry on to the Digdarshani Vritti by my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj.
The Digdarshani Vritti. In the previous verse, Sri Satyabhat Muni performs Nam Sankirtan with a melted heart. By the potency of Nam Sankirtan, he received direct darshan of his worshipful Damodar just for a moment. It is as if Sri Krishna said to him, "O sage, I am pleased with you. Request anything you wish." Satyabhat Muni now says, "Even though you yourself were bound, you freed the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, who had been cursed by Sri Narada to live as twin Arjun trees. And you also delivered them from a repeated cycle of birth and death within material existence. And furthermore, you made them the recipients of the highest form of bhakti to you by granting them prema bhakti. In this way, please profusely bestow upon me prema bhakti for you."
If you can do it to these two sons who had no qualification, then why not me? Excuse me. Okay, Gary.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Kuvera is the treasure of the demigods, and his two sons, because of their vast wealth, became intoxicated with pride. The scriptures describe the four characteristics that intoxicate a man who possesses them. Great opulence and wealth is one of these. The other three are beauty, learning, and noble birth. A curse given by a saint is identical to his blessing. Both are meant for our ultimate benefit, but we cannot always understand this. Sri Narada apparently cursed the sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva. Intoxicated by the pride of wealth, you have become so dull, you are acting like trees. So be it, become trees. The moment these words issued from Sri Narada's mouth, the two sons of Kuvera could feel their bodies turning into trees. And they fell at Sri Narada's lotus feet and begged him to arrange for their deliverance. Sri Narada consoled them. "Listen, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Shyam Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, will appear in Gokul and deliver you." Saying this, Sri Narada left that place, and subsequently the two brothers took birth as twin Arjun trees in the courtyard of Sri Nanda Maharaj's house.
And it's going to be described how they remained as trees for 100,000 material years, earthly years. This is very dramatic to suddenly be cursed like this.
Should I continue?
Yes, please.
After tying up Sri Krishna, Mother Yashoda returned to the house to turn yogurt. At that time, Sri Krishna recalled this incident and the statement made by his dear devotee Sri Narada, ordaining the deliverance of the two sons of Kuvera. Pretending that he was simply playing with his friends, he crawled over the two Arjun trees to deliver them, pulling the grinding mortar behind him. When he crawled between the two trees, the grinding mortar became lodged between them, and as Sri Krishna pulled it with great force, the massive trees became crashing to the ground, making a tumultuous sound.
This was an incredible manifestation in the village of Braj, when these true ancient trees that were so deeply rooted in the ground, because ever since the village of Gokul had existed, these two trees had been there for 100,000 years, these two trees, and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, they just come crashing down. This is the spark that really develops the rasa that's about to take place in the pastime. Because Mother Yashoda becomes so fearful that her son could have been killed, and Nanda Baba is really angry with Mother Yashoda for this. This will all be unfolded.
From the ancient trees, two heavenly personalities at once emerged, circumambulated Sri Krishna, and began offering prayers to him. Sri Krishna then blessed them both with prema bhakti. Those two personalities became the famous narrators, Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta, in the apricot lit Braj, the unmanifest Braj Dham, situated in the heart of the spiritual sky. There they eternally recite the sweet pastimes of Sri Krishna and Sri Nanda Maharaja's assembly.
So I think we'll stop there today. I'm not having a very healthy day, and it's a little challenging, but there are many, many points that are being opened out here by my Gurudev, and I think we'll go through them more clearly tomorrow. Okay, so now we come to our... I'm sorry, yesterday my health just fell apart, but today, by the mercy of Srimati Radhika, I met a very generous-hearted doctor here in Radha-kunda and received some good medication. So perhaps if any of you noticed, I'm much more less coughing today. Yesterday I couldn't even make it through. Someone else had to read. But today I feel, by Radharani's mercy, and by the mercy of Srila Gokishoras Babaji Maharaj, and the mercy of Srila Bhakti Dvaita Madhav, they are showing me their mercy today, allowing me to carry on this Damodarastakam, because I really want to complete this Astakam before we conclude our Kartik Parikrama. So we've reached page 150, I think. Yes, correct? 151, okay. So just a quick recap, and these recaps, to me, are very significant because it's linking regularly, saying the connection of all the verses. All the verses have to be connected in our consciousnesses because they make up the complete package of what is this Damodarastakam giving. So we start off with the Praman. Namam Ishwaram Satchit Ananda Vigraha. This is the Mangalacharan for the whole Astakam. So this is glorifying where this Astakam is coming from. It's making the platform. And then we go straight into the Leela in the first verse. This is significant because my Gurudev always used to say that the Leela is much more important than the Tattva. The Leela is like the rider on the horse. And the Tattva is the horse. Who is more important, the rider or the horse? The rider is more important because he's riding the horse. The horse is the carrier. So the Tattva is the carrier. But the rider is the one where we are going to connect with. So straight away, we're hearing in the first verse this remarkable understanding that Mother Yashoda could run faster than Krishna. And the teaching is that we have to run faster than Krishna to catch him. Not that, oh, I will just think in my mind, Krishna loves me so much because I'm a spirit soul and he will come for me. No, I have to go to him. That is a demonstration of our attraction and affection. If I don't go to him, what? Love is a verb, to love. If I'm advocating, yes, I love God, what does that, what context does that come in? It means my service to that love The symptom of love is service. That's the symptom of love. If you love someone in any way, even if you love your cat or your dog, you'll serve them. If you love your parents, you'll serve them. But in the transcendental realm, if you love your Guru Maharaj and you serve him, then those transcendental jewels and reciprocation will come back. So this mood of service to Krishna, to attract Krishna, akashani, Krishna akashani chasa. Krishna becomes attracted by our service. So this is extremely powerful introduction. In the first verse, Mother Yashoda ran faster than Krishna to capture him. Can we love Krishna more than he loves us? Can we capture him? Yes, we can. By the mercy of Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of our Guru Varga, we can learn how to catch Krishna. And then the second verse, we come to, it's called Mantra Mai Upasana. Rudantam Muhur Netra Yugram Rijantam. That Krishna is rubbing his eyes again and again. Some say he's rubbing his eyes because he wants to look like he's crying. Because this is the nature of a child. To get out of any sort of punishment from his mother. He wants his mother to think, oh, I'm really afraid and I'm really suffering, so she'll drop the stick. Another commentary is saying that he really is crying and he's trying to wipe away the tears from his eyes. Huh? So, Rudantam Muhur Netra, Yugram Mijantam. And so we're going right into the Leela of the Damodar prayer. What is it all about, etc. Then in the third verse, we come to Itidriksva Lila Bia Ananda Kunde, this pool of blissful pastimes. What is the nature of that bliss we're reading about now in the seventh verse, when the twin Arjun trees crash and Mother Yashoda comes and sees her little son tied to the grinding mortar, almost grazed by these massive trees. These trees are 100,000 years old. If we've ever seen big trees in California, perhaps you might have seen in Badger, those massive, massive kauri trees, they're called, I think, isn't it? Oh.
Redwood?
Redwood, yes, those redwood. You can even driven through one in Oregon. You can drive a car, right? They've made like a gateway and you can drive through the tree. What to speak of in Dwarpa Yuga, the size of the trees. They were even greater. So these two trees were massive. And it appeared they almost killed Krishna. Mother Yashoda, her heart is mortified. What would have happened to my Lala if he'd been hit by these trees? She thinks, the pure devotee thinks, and it's described even when Krishna takes birth from Mother Yashoda. She's looking at her child like a beautiful sapphire jewel, and she's thinking to herself, I am not qualified to have such a beautiful child. She has that mood of deep humility. How did I get the qualification for such a beautiful child? So she's thinking straight away, it's my fault. I am the culprit in this that almost killed my Lala, Krishna. Nanda Baba, it appears, thinks the same thing. Because Nanda Baba comes running out, unties Krishna from the grinding mortar and said, who did this? Just like Baladev was saying initially, who did this? And Krishna, who's sobbing now, because now he's got sympathy. Before he was playing happily with his friends. But as soon as mother or father come, immediately they turn on the, sad child act. And Krishna is acting as a baby. He is a baby. So he knows all the tricks of babyhood. And he whispers in his father's ear, Mai. Nanda Baba is just shocked. And he said, today we will not even speak to Mother Yashoda. This is the worst thing that you can do to a beloved one. It's just turn off the communication completely. So Nanda Baba, he took Balaram and Krishna to the Goshala and he squirted the milk directly into their mouths. It's called liquid gold. When you take the milk directly from the cow's udder, there's no need for pasteurization or purification or anything. It's already purified. But it's only, I think, about 10 or 20 seconds when the milk is in that condition and it becomes very quickly contaminated. So when you get it straight from the udder, it's absolutely pure. It's called liquid gold. So Nanda Baba would sit and he'd squirt milk into his two sons' mouths. This was for breakfast. And then he'd bring some ladus out of his pocket and feed them that. Then they take their breakfast that day in the Goshala. Mother Yashoda could not even feed her Lala that day. Mother Yashoda is just sitting stunned. This is the Ananda Kunde. This is the churning of the hearts that Krishna is doing. He's churning the hearts of the Brijbasis. All the Brijbasis are very aware of Mother Yashoda's absolute, what can we say, trauma that she's experiencing from this. Total trauma. She's just stunned. She can't do anything. She has no more tears. So all day long, this churning is going on. Nanda Baba takes his lunch. Rohini Ma cooks the lunch for Nanda Baba and Krishna this day. And then in evening time, Krishna comes back and they're trying to convince him, oh, go to your mother. No, I will not ever go to my mother. And then Rohini whispers in Krishna's ear, what would happen if your mother died? Then Krishna's triggered in his heart. He jumps out, he runs to Rohini Ma. Rohini Ma carries him to Yashoda, and the whole of Braj erupts in tears of happiness and joy. This is Ananda Kunde. This is the ocean of blissful pastimes that are taking place in Vrindavan. Just like the Kalyanaga pastime. When the Brijbasis see Krishna bound by Kalyanaga, it's churning their hearts in a mood of impending separation from Krishna. What's going to happen if Krishna gets crushed by this massive serpent? We can't imagine how big that serpent was. 1,000 hoods, 101 prominent. We can't even conceive of that. This was the first demon that the Brijbasis had ever seen. And they love Krishna with every atom of their being. And now it's being, the idea of separation from him becomes to be prominent in their minds. And they just go into such deep moods of affection and attraction for Krishna. It's this affection and attraction for Krishna through the mood of vipralamba, through the mood of separate. We see this particularly, of course, in the gopis, when Krishna leaves them. There's two sides to the whole dynamic of the loving pastimes, meeting and separation, meeting and separation. If we look at the map of the 8 paharas of the day, we start off with Nishanta Lila, full meeting. This is 2.5 hours. Then we go to Pratar Lila. This is 2.5 hours. This is separation. If you look at the whole map, there's exactly 12 hours of intimate meeting, and there's 12 hours of separation from Krishna. Every day. It's the same every day. These 8 praharas of the day. Nishanta Lila is meeting. Pratara Lila is separation. Then Purvana Lila, that's the third yama of the day. That is separation, because Krishna is taking the cows to the cow pasture. And then there's meeting. The Madhyana Lila, midday, that's 5 hours. We can send a map, and you can see clearly the meeting and separation. After Madhyana Lila is Apurvana Lila. That's separation again. Krishna's back with the cows. And then Syayam Lila, when Krishna returns with the cows from... They're never absolutely separated from him, but the intimacy of the meeting is separated. Because in Nishanta Lila, Madhyana Lila, and Ratri Lila, there's no elders around. There's no barriers. There's no intimidation. They're completely at liberty to be with each other, totally, fully, and express their attraction and affection for each other. This is the Ratri Lila. We know the Ras pastimes, the whole 5 hours of the day. So 5 hours, what do you call Ratri Lila? 5 hours approximately. 5 hours Madhyana Lila, and 2 hours approximately in Shanta Lila. These are the meeting times. Then the other Leelas are like 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So it's 24 hours. So this meeting so in these pastimes in Braj, Krishna is enacting the same moods, just like we see with Mahaprabhu. What was Mahaprabhu tasting in Navadvip, which was meeting? Mahaprabhu is in a mood of more Shyamras, actually, in Navadvip. He has the potential for Radha Bhav to manifest it, but that doesn't manifest until he reaches the Godavari and exchanges with Vishaka, with Rai Ramananda. And then that Sakhi Bhav begins to manifest in the heart of Mahaprabhu, that Radha Sakhi Bhav. then that Sakhi Bhav is ignited fully, which comes to the separation mood, which is what Mahaprabhu wanted to taste. His desires, Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva Svadyena Buddha Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiha Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisham Bhatilobat Tad Bhavadya Samachani Sachi Garvu Sindhu Varindu. This sixth verse of Adi Lila. Sixth or seventh? Sixth verse, yes. This is written by who? Swarup Damodar Maharaj writes this verse. So these are the three desires of Mahaprabhu, and they're all going to be tasted in a mood of Vipralamba. Mahaprabhu wants to taste the same Mahabhav that Sri Radhika is experiencing, because he can't experience it as Krishna. So he comes again as Sachinandan Gaurahari with the mood of Radhika, so that he can be like the Ashraya, worshipping the Vishaya. Understand? So he wants to taste himself. So my Gurudev has explained that practically the whole last 24 years of Mahaprabhu's life is in a mood of Vipralamba, separation. And the Navadvip pastimes are more in a mood of meeting, they're more family orientated. This Sambandha Lokik Vatya, this meeting together with his parents, with his two wives, Lakshmi Priya, Vishnu Priya. All these pastimes are very, very sweet. But in Navadvip Dham, Mahaprabhu has cut all his hair. He lives in the austere, tiny room of the Gambhira, and he's remembering the separation moods of Sri Radhika practically daily in the company of Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, inspired during the day by reading the Bhagavatam with Gadadhar Pandit at the Tota Gopinath temple. He comes back every night after reading the Bhagavatam with Gadadhar, with those same conceptions within his heart, and he unpacks them with Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda every night in the Gambhira. So Mahaprabhu is experiencing this separation. So we have a picture of Mahaprabhu experiencing this separation. And the sadhak is praying for that eagerness to come from the mood of separation. How much are we feeling separation from Krishna now? We haven't had darshan fully of Krishna, but we've heard his holy name. We've met exalted devotees of Krishna, and we want to catch up that spirit of what is the meaning of this Vipralamba Bhav, what is the meaning of this separate. When Guru leaves, my Gurudev has explained, this is when your real Vaishnavata, your real Guru Nishta will manifest. How much separation are you really feeling when your Gurudev departs this world? How much did you, if you've made a strong connection with Gurudev while he's in this world, you're going to be mortified when he leaves this world. This is how all the acharyas pray. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj prays in separation from him. He was 24 years old when he came to the Mat, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. And the connection they had with their guru, you know, was extreme. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati also. So they show this love and affection in a mood of deep, deep Vipralamba Bhav. Namo Gaurikishwaraya Sakshat Vairagya Murti. Vipralamba is in this mood of Vipralamba, this mood of deep, profound separation. So this is what the Ananda, this is the third verse. Then fourth verse, Varam Deva Moksham. This is when Satyabrat Muni is saying, I don't even want Navada Bhakti. I don't even want moksha. I don't even want Vaikuntha Prem. Krishna says, well, what do you want then? You don't want any of this. I just want to see your beautiful form within my heart eternally. And then the next verse escalates. He doesn't just want to see the form, he wants to see the beautiful smiling face. It goes to another level. He's not interested in the rest of it, just the face. That's the next verse. Idam te mukam bojam avyakta nilai. This is the fifth verse. Then the sixth verse we come to. This is the Sankirtan. He reaches a conclusion in his mind. The only way I'm going to have this very rare desire fulfilled, because even the Kumaras, they say, Or you don't have to go and see Krishna, you just have him in your heart. Like the yogis, they say like this, as long as Krishna's in your heart, that's okay. But that's not good enough for Satyavrat Muni, no. It's not good enough for the gopis also. They want to see Krishna directly. It's this greed to see him, shakshad darshan, to see him directly, not just in meditation. So this Sankirtan of the 6th verse, Damodaram, what is it? Damodaram Anta Vishnu. So we went through all these different names of when we're singing every single day, because we have the fortune to sing this Astakam daily or twice daily, every single Kartik Brat for the rest of our lives. So it's intelligent to actually get into this Damodarastakam at least one time during our lives, and then forever it'll be there, the impression. It's like if we learn particular tattvas very carefully, like the verse Anya Bilasita Shunyam, what is pure bhakti? If you take the time to learn this very deeply and carefully, it'll always be there. Understand? So knowing this Damodarastakam and its sequence, so we've just come to the Damodeva Dharananta Vishnu. He's calling out in his Sankirtan mood the names of Krishna in the hopes of having his deepest desire fulfilled. And then in the 7th verse, he's saying, well, if Nalagriva and Manigriva and Nalakubera, if they could achieve your darshan, because they get his darshan complete, and they were reprobates. They were really sinful people. They were sinful rascals of a very wealthy father. Kubera is the treasurer of the demigods. They were like arrogant rich kids, you know, just flaunting their wealth. In front of Narada Rishi, he thought, Kubera is my dear friend, I will give mercy to his sons, and gives them a curse to become trees. So in this 7th verse, it's about the trees crashing down and about the manifestation of those 2 sons coming as demigods from the trees and offering pranams to Krishna. So this is more or less but try what I'm saying now in this run through, this summary, to learn this summary ourselves, so we can just present it bang, like, so we have it in our mind. So when we're singing the Astakam, we're scrolling through, because it's all escalating. Because we said at the very beginning that the Staibhav of Sonaka Rishi, who's the first recipient to hear this mantra, this prayer from Narada Rishi. Narada Rishi is speaking to Sonaka Rishi in the first day of Lord Brahma, the first day of his whole creation. This is an eternal pastime. And he's speaking this divine Astakam to Sonaka Rishi, and it's described whose Staibhav was not fixed yet. His Staibhav is fixed, but it hasn't manifested yet. He doesn't know what it is. So the first proposition is Dasyabhav, then Sakyabhav, then Vatsalya Ras. Then we're coming finally in the 8th verse to Madhurya Ras. So it's an escalation of teachings. And in this particular compilation by my Gurudev, he unpacks all the deepest moods about bhajan, to how to catch into that current and practice the unpacking and unveiling of our own Staibhav. He goes into great detail, especially in the 4th verse, about what is bhajan, what is archan, etc. This is very important to distinguish. If we don't know what is Shuddha Bhakti, how can we actually practice it? So this is the mood and principle. So we've almost reached our time. I'm sorry about that, but we want to read. We'll read to the end of this. We'll take it for another few minutes anyway, of this chapter. I'll try to just read straight through. So I just wanted you to catch the thread, catch the current, catch the structure, because I think it gives us a lot more insight into all the tattvas that are being presented, if you know the context of it, doesn't it? It gives it some sort of solidarity, some platform is there, some pure sanity for the mind. The mind likes to climb steps, step by step by step. So we're up to page 150. We've read the first paragraph. Oh, Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta. These demigods, when they appeared from the trees, they got the benediction to be eternal residents of Vrindavan, even though they were complete drunkards. Krishna is doing this because of his great love and affection for Narad. If Narad has made this curse, Krishna must come and fulfill the curse of Narad, fulfill that benediction of Narad. Krishna's bound to do that. So now we come to the second paragraph on page 151. So Sri Rupa Goswami Pad explains how one can attain prema bhakti. This very famous verse, Adho Shraddha
ततः साधु संगोस्त भजन क्रिया ततो नर्ध निवृत्तिः स्यात् ततो निष्ठा रुचिस्तथा अधासक्तिस्ततो भावस्ततः प्रेमाद्भुतं चति साधकानाम् अयं प्रेम्णा प्रादुर्भावे भवेत् क्रमः.
Thank you, very nice. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 4, 15, 15 to must be 16. In the heart of the sadhak, first shraddha, faith, develops. Without faith, there's no foundation. Faith, of course, has to develop. And faith is a continuing, increasing quality. It's not, oh yes, I have faith, put that away. Every single day, like Sharanagat, every single day, we're becoming more Sharanagat. Every single day, our faith is increasing. Of course it is. By your experiences of Brajmandal Prikrama today, your faith has increased from yesterday, hasn't it? It must have done. By your association, by your practice, by your chanting, it has to increase. That's the quality of it's increasing, just like Damodarastakam itself. It's this increasing must be there. After that comes sadhu sangha, association with saints, bhajana kriya, regulated devotional practices. Yes, that regulation must be there, strictly. And then anartha nivritti, the clearing of unwanted habits. Of course, we try to think of artha pravritti. What is the focus? What is the beauty? Not what is the negative aspect. Always the glass is half full or half empty. We can focus on either. If we're always thinking the glass is half full, that's positive. Better for our hearts to think the positive path. If we think the negative path, that might become tough. Might become what?
Depressing.
Depressing, yes. Next, the sadhak develops nishtha in bhajan, fixed determination in devotional service, followed by ruchi, taste. Then he develops asakti, intense attachment. What a great surprise we've got for us. I mean, you know, when we clear the anartha and vritti stage, there is this intense attachment. I want that intense attachment where I'm just focusing on Krishna. Smartavya shatatam Vishnu, Vishmartavya nakatachit. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Training ourselves. At the time of death, things are going to be very bewildering. Last night I was in a very difficult condition. I didn't know what I was having, some sort of something or other, but so much crisis in my health and vomiting and so many things. And, you know, it's very hard to think of Krishna at a stage like that. It's very hard to keep that focus. We have to practice it to become like iron in our mental consciousness. Time of death is going to be disturbing for everybody because we've become very attached in however many years we've lived in this body to this bodily conception and all it represents. And to suddenly have that subtle body dissolve, where am I? Who am I? Do we remember I'm a servant of Krishna? At that point, it takes practice. This is what bhajan is, practice. And it's the attachment that is going to make it successful. If attachment is more for that than for this material pleasure, has that been purified? This desire, even for sleeping, for eating. These are material pleasures that we experience. Do we long to go to sleep every night just to get away from the suffering of the material world? To more or less merge into the Brahman for a few hours? Because it's so depressing in the world sometimes. It's so difficult. Adhyatmik, adhibautik, adhidevik, it's so tough. There are many tough challenges in life. Physically, subtly, like that. But if the attachment, This is what we want benedicted with. Today we want this benediction. Develops asakti for the object of bhajan, Brajendranandan, Sri Krishna. After this, Shuddha Sattva, pure unalloyed transcendental existence, descends in the heart of the sadhak in the form of bhav, spiritual emotions, and finally prem arises. Always remember there are 3 stages in our bhakti: sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, prema bhakti. If our sadhan bhakti is not being focused on bhav bhakti, what is the nature of our sadhan? 0, yes, nothing, completely empty. Because what are you focused on then? Liberation, moksha, mukti. If you're not focusing on what is bhav bhakti. Many are like this. Even subconsciously, they're doing their practice because they want liberation from the suffering of the material world. That's generally why people come to devotional service, is because they want some relief and respite from the material suffering that they're in. But that's not bhav bhakti. That's the desire for liberation, desire for gyan. We want prem, ultimately. Prem is the ultimate conclusion. So we have to hear these teachings, particularly from Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, all the Goswamis in particular. Our Gurudev will be repeating these same principles. This verse is from Rupa Goswami. This is the gradual development of love of Godhead. I'm going to go a little bit over today because why not? Prema Bhakti actually develops in many sequences, but the most celebrated process and the one that is delineated in the scriptures is described here. From time immemorial, all the souls who are averse to Sri Bhagavan have been tossed about by the countless waves of misery in the fathomless ocean of material existence. This is what I've just been talking about, right? All this suffering we're coming through. They have simply been wandering aimlessly. We could also say working aimlessly. Work hard, get a good job, get some money, then you'll be happy. Isn't that the education we've had from birth?
Yes.
If you don't work, if you don't, get your exam results, you're going to be miserable in this world.
Be successful.
My father used to always tell me I'd be a dustman. In the English we call it dustman, the men who empty the trash man. If I didn't do my studies, I didn't really care because I thought the dustman had a good life hanging on the back of trucks. I thought that would be fun, Anyway, I didn't follow my studies too carefully. They have simply been wandering aimlessly. However, when the special grace of Sri Bhagavan, the time comes, when by the special grace of Sri Bhagavan, the time comes for their worldly entanglement to end, they attain company of devotees. In the association of saints, a sadhak obtains the great fortune of hearing the glories of bhaktas, of bhakti and Bhagavan, these 3 principles, the bhaktas, bhakti and Bhagavan, directly from the mouths of exalted personalities like Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Maharaj, like all these personalities we were discussing today. Next, as a result of Bhakti Unmukh Sukriti, pious merits related to Bhakti, transcendental faith or paramartik shraddha arises within the sadhak's heart. I can remember when I first heard this expression of paramartik shraddha, this eternal faith is there in the heart. It's eternal in the heart by nature. Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das. This is the principal aspect of our identity. Our Staibhav is based on this principle. Jivera Sarup Hoy. By nature I love Krishna. It's my nature to love Krishna. This paramartik shraddha arises within the sadhak's heart. The indication that this kind of shraddha has awakened in his heart is that he firmly believes in the statements of the scriptures and longs to hear Harikatha. Upon the dawning of such faith in a sincere way, he begins to associate with devotees. At this point, he begins to practice bhajan, and his anarthas start to vanish. His bhajan soon becomes steadfast, nishta, and he subsequently acquires a taste, ruchi, for the process. Eventually, when in the stage of ruchi, this is before asakti, there's still a mood of effort needed to walk away from the material conception. It's still there. But in the stage of asakti, You're already there. You're not making any endeavor to leave that material conception. It's already past, it's incinerated, it's gone. Asakti. Eventually he develops profound attachment, asakti, for his bhajan and for the object of bhajan. You have to be careful here. Sometimes you can get really attached to your bhajan, my chanting, my reading, my parikrama, my association, rather than who am I doing all this for? What am I trying to rise within my heart? My eternal swarup, my eternal identity as a servant, a maidservant of Srimati Radhika. That's a huge conception. It needs nourishing with tattva and with the words of Rasik Vaishnavas. Because unless you're going in that direction towards Braja Prem, you're not going to be capitalizing on the gifts that Mahaprabhu's come to give. He's only come to give Braja Prem. He hasn't come to give Vaidhi Bhakti. Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, they would give these precepts. Nityananda Prabhu also, without his mercy, Heno Nitai Bine Bai, Radha Krishna Paite Bai. You can't come to Mahaprabhu without his mercy. But what are they actually giving? When this stage matures, it becomes bhav, the sprouting stage of ecstatic loving emotions. Then prem finally arises in his heart. This is the sequence in which prem appears within the heart of the sadhak. This is so profound. You know, these words, they're so illuminating, step by step by step, but everything is here. The whole path of bhakti, the whole path of bhajan is really opened out in this Damodarastakam. That's why we sing it every single day. That's why it's really helpful to read through this book together and get a clear concept. What am I singing every day? What is it all about deeply? Hearing the prayers of Satyabrat Muni, Shri Krishna says, "O sage, you should accept liberation, which includes complete freedom from all the miseries of material existence." The sage responds, "O my Lord, I may encounter innumerable troubles in this world, but according to my past deeds and impressions, I may have to take birth in any species of life or even in hell, but I have no concern for my material fate. No concern. I just beg you to give me abundant prema bhakti for you. That is my only prayer." All of our acharyas explained that if a sadhak wants to attain prema bhakti, he must always seek the association of those who have prema bhakti for Bhagavan in their heart. Just like those who are on fire, they will ignite my potential fire. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavsa sadhanavida. Nitya siddhyasya bhavasya. This nitya siddhyasya bhavasya, prakartamridya sadhite. It's in potential within my heart already. I need to be in association with someone who will ignite that potentiality. Like Mahaprabhu did when he went to the Godavari. It's described that Radha Bhav was in potential within even his heart. That's why he came as Mahaprabhu, because he wanted to taste Radhika's Bhav. He didn't have that. When Krishna was on the planet, Leela Purushottam, he was just enjoying his Leelas. But Radhika was tasting the bliss of those Leelas thousands and millions of times more than Krishna was. Krishna wanted that taste. It's all described in Rai Ramanand Sambhava, this aspect. Britrasura's prayers found in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.11.27 illustrates such a strong aspiration for this type of association. My Gurudev explains this is the first time that this real concept of ultimately Parakiya Bhav is going to be described by Shukadev, which is in the 6th canto. Can you pronounce this?
Mamottama sloka janeshu sakhyam samsara chakre bhramata swakarmabhihi tvanmayayatma atmatma jadaragehe shwasakta chittasya nanada bhuyat.
O Master, I do not want liberation. I am not concerned if I must repeatedly roam about in this vicious cycle of birth and death as a result of my actions. But I pray that wherever I go and whichever species I take birth, may I maintain loving friendships with your dear devotees who have prema bhakti for you. O Master, I pray that I will not have to maintain any relation with those who are subjected to your illusory potency, and are therefore attached to their bodies, homes, wives, children, families, and others. Such a beautiful prayer. Think about it. Unpack it for yourselves. A genuine sadhak should aspire to have such lobha, intense greed, to attain prem bhakti for Sri Bhagavan. This lobha can appear in anyone, in any stage of life. Even us, fallen conditioned souls in Kali Yuga, we can attain this greed. Not such a big deal, just to become greedy for Lord Krishna. We simply have to chant Hare Krishna. That Hare Krishna mantra will inspire this in the heart. If Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous loving devotion, which is characterized by intense greed, arises in someone's heart, he becomes worshipful for the whole world. Furthermore, by his prema bhakti, he even brings Sri Krishna, who is unconquerable, under his control. This is going back to the first verse. Mother Yashoda, she captured Krishna. She ran faster than Krishna. Tie all the strings together. Have the whole sequence here. Thus, Sri Sachirat Muni prays, O Master, you are bound by the rope of your mother's love. Please profusely bestow upon me prema bhakti in your form as Damodar, who is bound by his devotees. Shri Dig Darshani Briti by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Damodarastakam ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Go, Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Varshakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Vairacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnava Namo.